Hey everybody, welcome to episode 8 of Glass Podcast. I'm your host, Keith Acorn. Joining me this week are my co-host, Cecilia Abadi.
Hi.
And we also have special guests this week, Abraham Williams.
Hello.
Abraham Williams, for those of you who may not have come across some of his posts on Google+, has been a very active Glass developer and is well known in the Glass community, and also a very prolific Google Pluser. I see quite a few posts from you.
I've heard from many people that apparently I'm the only person on Plus.
Well, if the topic is Google, Glass, or beards, you definitely got that market cornered. So. Cool. Well, I'm going to go ahead and jump right into the news because we have plenty to talk about this week. So to start us off, Google was very kind in releasing XE8 for Glass. So that's the monthly, semi-regularly monthly update for Glass, and typically includes some extra functionality or bug fixes. And they certainly didn't disappoint this month. So there were several features. I'm just going to take from their own rundown sort of the list, and we can talk about each one. So to start us off, there's extra video player functionality. Now, before, for videos you've recorded on Glass, you had the ability to go back in your timeline and replay them, but there wasn't much in the way of controls. This update has added the ability to not only play but pause and to shuffle back and forth within a video. Have either of you guys had a chance to try that out? Not yet.
I actually have not tried it out, but I'm very excited because I've always been annoyed when I take a video and then I try to watch it, but it's just endless replay essentially.
Yeah, I just got my XE8 update earlier today, so I haven't had a chance to check it out myself. But yeah, with those longer videos, it's nice to rewatch them, but if it's like 3 or 4 minutes and you're looking for something specific, it's a bit of an effort to go back and watch all of that.
Is. Yeah.
I guess. I don't really care too much for that.
Do you normally stick to the short videos, Cecilia?
I don't. Yeah, I should say when I do mostly short videos, and if I do a long video, I never have the time to watch it on Glass. So I'll watch it some other time, probably.
What's interesting is a couple of months ago, I was walking through Union Square in San Francisco, and I just randomly turned on video recording as I was walking through it, and just as I was exiting Union Square, a black cab went around a corner and it didn't he hit a skateboarder. It wasn't a serious, the guy's skateboard got run over, but he himself wasn't hurt. And I kind of caught most of it on Glass, but I couldn't tell while I was there because there's a 3-minute video, and so I'd have to watch 2 minutes, and then instantly it would go past where it actually happened, and I'd have to start over again.
So many
I had to
reasons.
wait to actually get a computer to really look at it.
Your example is perfect because you got a cat, you got a skate, and yeah.
And yeah, I know sometimes I want to show somebody a video as well, maybe screencasting on my phone, but as soon as you hit that video on the timeline, it starts playing. It'd be nice to be able to cue it up, so just pausing it right after that would be cool too. But yeah, your example is really good. So the next feature was now there's a couple extra voice commands. So now before you could always say take a picture, take a video, get directions, and now they've added OK Glass, post an update, and OK Glass, take a note. Now these, I believe, were intended to support the Glass apps Path and Evernote. But Cecilia, you were looking at seeing if you could integrate these with your own app, your Genie app. Were you having any luck with that?
They actually released release notes. So if you go to the Google developers page and you look at the release notes for the Mirror API, they did publish how you subscribe. And actually all the new client libraries do have those accept commands. So you can actually, when you create your contact for your Glassware, which is that thing where you can share to and stuff, you can say this contact will accept these commands. And for now, obviously, the only 2 types that you can use are the take a note and the post an update. But it seems like this is going to grow, and this is going to be the way we're going to launch most of our things on Glass, probably.
That's cool. It's nice that it's open to all, because the way that the initial news reports came, it sounded like it was only authorized for those apps, but certainly Take a Note really fits your Genie app very well. So
yes, thank you.
Third feature is volume control. So before, for the bone conductor, the volume was at a constant level, and there wasn't any way to adjust that volume. Now in the settings panel, there's a volume setting, so you can adjust it. Myself, I don't really find this that important of a feature because I think that the sound is pretty much at the level that I like it. But have you guys found that the volume level is good for you?
Abraham?
I'm frequently running into, like, I mean, in the city of San Francisco, if you're outside, it's generally very noisy. So in that environment, I can almost never hear what Glass is saying. I haven't actually played with the volume, so I don't know if I can increase it or not. But I mean, ideally they would have some sort of an ambient noise sensor and automatically adjust the volume based on how noisy it is where you are.
Actually, that's a really good idea. Yeah, I didn't see much functionality for manually controlling it because it's just a bit of work to go back into the settings and adjust it. But yeah, if it could automatically adjust, that'd be a really cool feature.
That would be cool. Actually, what I did see that mine was already almost at the top. So what I would want to do is to have it a little higher sometimes, like Abraham. And I did read posts at the Explorer community by like Shauna M. And she's in San Francisco with you guys, Keith, and Sogi. San Francisco, and I believe she's saying like I needed it to go higher. So it's a great feature that now you can control it, but it seems like the maximum volume, it's a little bit of snuggle there.
Yeah, I agree. The only times that I've not been happy with it, it would have been nice to be louder. So hopefully someone at Google is taking that feedback and they'll put a bigger bone conductor in the next model. Cool.
Maybe the next version will actually come with an implant you put behind your ear. And it's like a wireless connector. No.
I just want an aux-in jack on the back of my skull. Just plug it directly.
That's right.
That would be perfectly fine.
Okay, so the next feature. This seems a bit niche, but you can now check your timeline when you're in a video call. So I don't often find myself in a video call, but I guess if you did and you wanted to check something, this way you could go back into your timeline. Now when you do that, it does cut off the camera and mic, so that I guess you don't forget that you're talking to people. But I guess that's a feature. Does anybody find that interesting?
Is that during a Hangout then, or a regular call?
It says a voice call, or excuse me, a video call.
Video call, exactly. So I suppose that's a Hangout. I don't know. I think it's good always to be able to multitask. So.
Yeah, I guess it's nice that they've added the ability for a task to background. I'm just not sure at this point in particular is that interesting for me.
Yeah, the one. Sorry.
I actually never do like phone calls or Hangouts from Glass. Partially, I don't know if maybe this is a problem with my phone, but like when I get a phone call and I have it set up to send phone calls to my Glass, if it's a number I don't recognize and I'm not answering, I'll silence my phone, but Glass itself continues to ring.
I have that too. Yes.
And so I just turned it off because I don't want my Glass to continue ringing for 5 minutes.
Back at Google I/O, I talked to Salil on the Glass team and sort of gave him that feedback. I think that was his one of his projects, but yeah, the same issue. It's like I don't usually want to listen to Glass on listen to a phone call on Glass. But the only way to disable that is to actually manually turn off Bluetooth on my phone.
Oh, really?
Nice
Don't you get in your, when you get a call, you get your phone call menu, and you can change if you want the sound to come from speakers or Bluetooth. So is that what you're referring to?
So, I wasn't aware of that feature. You mean on an Android phone you can go in?
On an Android phone, when you get the call, at least with the Samsung S4, I have to switch. So what I do is, when I get the call, I can show you because the call is not on, but I switch from Bluetooth to actual headset. And usually every phone should let you switch from Bluetooth because you could have a Bluetooth headset, so that's more like the functionality on your Android should support that.
I've heard other people say that too, and I think I tried that, and like the Bluetooth icon wasn't actually a button on the call receiving screen. But like I went in the Bluetooth, like so I leave Bluetooth on, so I'm still connected by Bluetooth, but I have to tell the Bluetooth settings not to send calls to my device.
And that stays forever?
Yeah, it stays until I switch it back.
I see. Well,
that's good to know. I'll have to take a look at those settings on my own device. So thanks for that.
Particularly talking about the video calls, though, I haven't done many of those because I had people out in the street call me with glass, and the connection wasn't that good. And of course, I don't know. Did you guys have experience hanging out from the street?
I have not, but I could see where the connection might not be ideal. I do feel like this would probably be a good way to like give my family a tour of my new office.
Yes.
Yeah, I just haven't found a good enough reason, I guess, to do like a video stream from Glass. It's like I love the fact that it's there, but I just haven't found an actual instance to use it, so I haven't.
But remember, Keith, when Noble was at Google I/O, we were having a hangout, and he was transmitting live from the street, and it was all choppy. So this was my second experience, actually, where someone calling from Glass and very choppy, very like not nice.
Yeah, I guess especially if you're out on the street or somewhere, were they connecting to get their data from the Bluetooth on their phone? Was that how they're transmitting it?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Difficult situations.
I have been in Hangouts where someone else was doing the Hangout from their mobile phone with headphones on, with like just standard earbuds, and the quality on those was terrible. So I think in general, it's probably more an issue with the data, like the mobile carrier, and their low bandwidth.
Yeah. All right. So now there are some new contextual voice commands for navigation. I sort of missed this one before, so let me go ahead and read control route guidance without hands. We've added the following voice commands: show route overlay. Okay, so these are just normal functions you can now do with the navigation app when you're on Glass. So you can show the route overview, hide the route overview, and stop directions. Stop directions seems like the one I might use out of those the most. But do you guys use navigation on Glass very often?
I tend to use more my phone or my car, really, but not because I don't like it. I kind of save the battery on the Glass more.
I don't have a car, so I never have need to drive.
Lucky
you live in a good city, that's why.
I live close enough to work that I can walk.
Nice.
I really like the navigation interface, but my route doesn't change that much. So definitely, riding my bike, Glass would be perfect because you don't have to have an extra device. You don't have to mess with your phone. But I know how to get to work on my bike, so I don't need to get directions every day.
Yeah.
Okay. They can add captions to voice. I'm going to combine these next two features. So you add captions to voice when taking a picture or video, and hashtags in captions. So I guess these are ways of adding extra content when you're going to share something like a picture or a video without having to do it after the fact. I know initially when I got Glass, you'd have to upload a picture. You get that one hashtag, that through Glass hashtag, and then you have to go in and manually update. But this way you can do it all, I guess, right there.
That should be awesome for tweeters. I mean, for tweets, you really want those hashtags. They mean a lot. And even in G+, they do have some meaning. So that's cool. What I don't know is if they are releasing that on the API. So I heard someone saying that they could not reach the picture caption from the Mirror API, but I never really went to look into it. It would be interesting that everybody can access that, no matter if it's Twitter or Facebook or any of us doing posts.
It seems like they would have to be accessible at least at some point, at least in the webhook that they initially get when they post it. So they could probably just store it in their server at that point. So maybe it's not actually available in the Mirror API, but at some point in the transaction it has to be available.
I think the last time that I was taking pictures and stuff, I noticed that it would allow you to make the voice command like right then, like right as you took the picture. You couldn't get back to it with just your voice alone afterwards, but you could give it an immediate command.
That was you mean command or like a text or a...
I guess. Oh, you're right. So back then, you still couldn't add a caption. It was only to send it, right?
After XE7, you started to be able to share a picture and immediately tap on it and share a caption together with the picture, right? And that string that you input, well, I'm a little developer to the language.
I think you mean Unicode, the Unicode string.
Exactly. Yeah, I didn't go that deep, but the text that you input by voice at that point, it should be available for any app to grab, and that would be super cool.
You see, now I'm kind of curious what happens if you say hashtag something.
So what does it do? Compounded words? If you give a hashtag and 3 words together, a Glass podcast or something, does it know to shrink them all?
I don't know. Their example is Necktie Tuesday.
Yeah.
So in theory, they would do something.
I guess you gotta speak really quick and then not so fast continue with other things. That's
maybe
interesting.
Maybe you have to say end hashtag.
Yeah, that would be so.
Tie Tuesday end hashtag.
That would be so geek. That would be terribly geek.
You know, I guess if they wanted to cut a syllable, they could have just said you say hash or something, and that would.
Yeah, that's true. Hash could be.
Cool. So now this next one, I appreciate mainly for demos, but also for myself, more fluid voice commands. So for anybody that's used Glass and given it commands, you know that you have to kind of give it the general wake up, OK Glass, wait for it to load and show you what your options are, and then you continue saying something. But you have to kind of have a break. So I guess now you just say the whole thing, OK Glass, take a picture, and it doesn't then wake up and say, OK, what do you want me to do? I know when I do demos that's an issue because I can convince someone to say OK Glass, I can convince them to say take a picture, but if they mess it up and try again, they don't know to wait.
Did you try it, Keith? I just tried it and it doesn't even seem to work.
No, not at all. Okay. Would you mind trying it again?
Okay. OK Glass, take a picture. But I did it that time, but I did do a little pause. Let's go faster. OK Glass, take a picture. I actually did it. Yeah.
Okay.
That's pretty cool.
Maybe it's picky sometimes, but I'm glad it's there. That's cool.
Do you guys ever run into issues when you're like doing a demo, and I run into the issue where I'll take a picture and I'll start to like do the caption, and I'll be like explaining to the person about how I'm adding the caption, but like I forget that it's recording and it's transcribing what I'm saying, and so it starts transcribing me telling the people about how it'll add a transcription or how to add a caption.
Yeah. That happens.
At least I'm not the only one then.
Not alone.
Let's see. We're getting down to the end here, but so one more was improved SMS support. Now this one's particularly useful for those of us that use Google Voice, because I think before, if you started an SMS on Glass, it would route it using your cell phone carrier, but it wouldn't necessarily know to route it to whatever app you set on your phone. So in my case, I run Google Voice, and nobody knows my real phone number, so I'd rather have them keep using that Google Voice number. Do you guys use any other applications besides your normal phone number?
I don't.
Okay.
I always use Google Voice.
Right. Okay. Cool. So you use Google Voice, so this would be beneficial.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, and some Google Now cards. It looks like they've got reservations and events, local movies playing in your area, public alerts. So just adding.
I did get those public alerts, I have to say, on my Google Now, which it was a little too insistent. There was a fire here, half an hour north from where I am at Riverside. So yes, I did get the fire alert, and same as in Google Now. Pretty cool.
Yeah, I thought I was getting this birthday. Sorry, I don't know if you guys hear my cat. She's wanting some attention below me. But anyway, never mind. Go ahead. I forgot.
Oh, you were saying. Oh my gosh.
Oh, you're trying the birthday thing?
Yeah.
Oh, right, yeah. So I was getting a birthday notice in Glass before XE8, so I don't know if there's something new about this.
I think they took the birthdays actually out of from Glass. They're still on now, but I don't see them on Glass anymore. Which I think is good because all your circles is a lot of people, you know.
Cool. All right, so that's pretty much it for XE8. I hope for those people watching that you've found something useful in those.
There's one more thing that I didn't put in the right place there, Keith, but it's about being able to view a website. That's a new command, so any glassware will be able to allow you to view a website. So if any glassware it's doing something that has to do with a search or a particular link, they would be able to direct you to view a website. And what's particularly interesting about that, it's something that Det and Scene posted, which is like a hack. And because they allow this view website thing, you can use it to actually launch an Android APK directly from your timeline. So that's my favorite hack of the whole XE8. It's super cool.
Actually, speaking of new, more hacky features, there were a couple that leaked out after XE8 came out. Let's see, the first one being that now in the lab section there's a lock screen for Glass, which has been a feature that was requested, and I think I've forgotten the guy's name. Maybe one of you can help me, but somebody had put together a lock screen for Glass called Bulletproof, I think. You guys recall that?
Well, yeah.
So anyway, now there's an official.
Was it a native app that you could sideload? Is that what that was?
I believe it was. This was a while back, maybe.
I think it was Mike DiGiovanni.
Yep, that's him.
Yeah, that released something like that.
He's been pretty active with the sideloaded apps and things.
Especially hacking, all hacking.
So anyway, now if you have a little bit of technical know-how, you can go in and enable like a real lock screen. It works by like a pattern of taps and swipes on the side of Glass. Seems useful if that's a feature that you're interested in.
Yeah, I personally never use a lock, even in my phone, in my tablets. I kind of hate locks, but I understand some people would love to have a lock. So
I always have a lock.
You always have a lock?
I was gonna say,
I actually have a lock.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I actually have a lock with a 12-digit PIN.
Not true.
It's true.
Not true. Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm serious. It's a 12-digit PIN to get onto my phone.
Oh my gosh, that's
So one side note about the lock screen lab is that apparently it's a little too simple right now, and that if somebody theoretically somebody could go through all the combinations in under 5 minutes.
Yeah. I guess with a limited interface, it's going to be a little tricky to come up with more things. Maybe they can add an up and down swipe. That would.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say.
But this is the first security of any kind I've really seen on Glass. Certainly, anybody could still probably grab it and hook a USB cable up to it. But
yeah.
And it's not official yet, so I guess maybe they're still working on it.
That's true. So can we explain what Labs features are for people in case they don't know what it is?
I hope maybe one of you has a better grasp of it. It sounds like are these the same things as like the SDK sources on GitHub, or is this something that's already like in the Glass software you just have to enable?
Yeah, as I understand, and I also am not an expert, but these are features that are there, but they could be enabled in true or false inside the Android package that deploys Androids in the Glass. So people could enable their lock to true and then kind of reboot or something. I don't really know the details either.
So it looks like you have to actually root your Glass device and then edit your prop file to enable the lab feature.
Gotcha.
So those are features, yeah.
It's not quite like Chrome where you can just go to a page, hit enable this feature and restart and you have it. It's definitely more involved, and if you're not a developer, you're basically not going to be able to turn on a lab feature.
Gotcha.
Right, and also booting your Glass kind of voids your warranty, so a little risky thing to do.
Sure. And the other sort of hacky feature was, let's see, Hangout support. So this is Hangouts in the sense of the sort of replacement for Gtalk. So you can I guess do things like set that you're available, busy, or offline. And there were some bits of code in there about group chat access. So I guess this is certainly a feature that I would like to see in Glass, and it sounds like they are working on it.
Excellent.
That sounds exciting, yeah.
Cool. All right, so let me go ahead and skip down to a story about patents. Apparently, Google has just been approved for a patent regarding gaze detection. So, I'm not sure the full extent of what this could be used for, but apparently the patent is over the idea that Google could know sort of like what you're looking at, like based on your head direction, but also your eye direction. So maybe if you're looking at an ad or some content, you can sort of let Google have that information to sort of help their own preferences. If you guys don't mind talking about that for a second, I'm going to go put my cat away. It's being a little noisy.
Sure, definitely.
Okay.
So Abraham, you want to share something about that?
I was actually, when I read, I haven't like thoroughly read this, but when I read over the summary, it almost like blew my mind of what they're trying to do, because they essentially they use the camera on the front of your glass to get a view of what you're facing, and then based on where you're and then they scan your eyeball to tell where you're looking, and they pinpoint what you're actually looking at between the 2 points of reference.
Yeah, which is a complex translation because there's a whole
I mean, this is almost getting into like sci-fi level algorithms.
Yes, yes.
I'm sorry if I missed or if I repeat something you guys said, but does it remind you at all of the Minority Report? If you guys have seen that, I remember as Tom Cruise walked down the street, there was some sort of tracking devices noticing which ads he was looking at and customizing them, I think.
I haven't seen my Minority Report probably since like the first year it came out, so my memory is a little far. All I remember is he's like waving his arms around and flinging things from screen to screen.
I'm with you, yeah.
Yeah, pinch to zoom, I think. Yeah.
That's right.
Cool.
But really, you gotta wonder. To a certain point, it seems like your privacy. There could be amazing applications, and at the same time, a little bit of the privacy could be a little interesting.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you trust your provider, whoever is doing the analysis is fine. But it seems like it could be used in pretty powerful ways.
Yep. One really cool application that I see about this is that when you're taking a picture, it can actually focus in on the specific object that you're looking at and make sure that is actually in focus.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that'd be a really neat feature.
And actually, that's something that I've always run into with issues with taking pictures, is that I'll be taking a picture of one specific thing or one specific area, and my head is tilted wrong, so that what I'm trying to take a picture of is not actually centered. So they could actually use this to better center the photo, or like the object you're taking a photo of, and it would turn out much better photos that way.
Yeah, you're right. So for people that have used Glass for photography, you'll know it's a very wide angle. So yeah, you're right. They have a little bit of room to crop there if you wanted to center, as you said.
Yeah.
Now the next story, this is a little out of my area of expertise, but apparently Google has been really pushing Glass in the fashion industry and trying to make it very, very attractive, not just from a technological perspective, but also an aesthetic one. So apparently in this upcoming issue of Vogue, there is a 12-page spread involving models wearing Glass. So this isn't the first time that Google has sort of tried to insert themselves into the fashion industry. I think you guys might recall there was a runway exhibition late last year, I think, with Diane von Furstenberg.
Mm-hmm.
And there was also a news article about the creative director of Marie Claire taking Glass to do live streams of New York Fashion Week, I guess, upcoming. So you guys have any thoughts about the fashion of glass, or how attractive it is?
I'm about as fashion inept as you can get. I wear a black shirt and cargo pants every day.
Yeah, I don't care much for fashion. I do love, though, that they're trying. For me, glass is fashionable because anything geek for me is fashionable. But the fact that they're trying to sell it to the bigger audience, to the larger audience as a fashionable item, I love it because it's going to help with adoption. And anything that helps with adoption is going to be a good thing.
Yeah.
Google does have a reputation of catering to the most hardcore techies out there, but yeah, this is definitely an attempt to make a mass market device. So I guess focusing on that is a good thing. Cool. All right. Well, that's all I've got for news, unless somebody has another topic. Otherwise, we can go on to a little discussion with you, Abraham. You've been pretty active in the not just in the glass development community, but very active using your glass, including it was this past weekend, I believe, you went whitewater rafting with glass.
I did. I went with the Alpha Tricks program, which is they do some kind of they get a bunch of techie startup people together and do some of the more extreme activities. If you go to their website, they have a bunch of like zip lining and downhill snowboarding and various things like that. And so we went up to South Forks, American River, and did whitewater rafting. It was actually, in general, it was actually my first time whitewater rafting, and I had a blast in general. But now I also have first-person video of myself doing it, and it was awesome.
It was a pretty cool video to watch. I as a kid, I used to spend time whitewater rafting up in like the Carolinas and everything, but I've never had sort of the video like this. So it's really cool to be able to share that with your friends. And it also brought up an interesting discussion I've seen on some blogs, and I think even on maybe one of the Twitch shows about how glass may be competing, maybe a little bit, maybe not so much with GoPros, because GoPros sort of inhabit the very active user space right now. You weren't afraid about damaging your glass too much, I guess, because there's water everywhere. I definitely saw it get a little splashed, but
yeah, in that video, there's definitely a pretty big wave of water that just splashes over me. Well, I mean, it's kind of so. A month or so ago, I actually took glass on a different extreme adventure, doing a Gladiator Rock and Run. It was like a 5K run with 17 obstacles. It involved water and barbed wire, and it was like a 10-foot oiled wall you have to crawl over. And so I actually, during that event, I literally dropped it in water, and it was submerged in water for about a minute. And I was actually recording video when I did that, and there's 30 seconds of brown, murky water before glass died. And so after that happened, and I put glass in a bag of rice for 48 hours, and it started working again.
Wow.
So I figure, it's probably got 9 lives, so I figure I've probably got another 8 lives I can do on it. So I might as well use it for fun things.
Wow, so you're actually still on your first pair of glass then?
I'm on my first pair of glass.
Wow, we had discussed this before your rock and run trip, and I just assumed you had to have it replaced. It's really amazing that it survived a minute in water.
It did, yeah.
Amazing. Cool. So these rapids were nothing for glass, I guess.
No, it was a piece of cake. I did notice a couple weird things from having water splashed on it during the whitewater rafting. When there was recently water splashed on it, the touch interface on the side would stop working, and so I would like tap on it, and it would just do nothing. Like I could hit the picture button and it would take a picture, but then I wouldn't actually be able to like turn it on or share that photo or anything like that.
Do you remember if you had your head-on detection activated or deactivated?
That I have turned that off, and as far as I know, it has not been turned back on.
Okay, but that would be one of the things we could discuss that. But I had similar experiences to what you are describing, where it goes either super hypersensitive that my hair triggers it and it starts doing things.
I've had that too. And it's like water is like touching it, and so it will like rapidly, it will like vibrate between
Yes.
like screens. Yeah.
Trying to Google something, right?
Yeah, yeah, no, that happened too actually during
And also the
rafting.
opposite, where it kind of goes like, okay, overload, and it kind of seems like not responding for a little bit, and then it comes back, right?
Yeah, usually, yeah. And then the other issue that I had was that it was apparently like when the display turns off, the previous image that it was displaying it gets stored in memory. And then, like, if you turn the screen back on, if glass is slow, you can actually see that image flicker before it switches to the, like, OK glass display. And so something was happening where it thought that it turned off the display, but it just essentially looked like it froze on the last image that it displayed. And so I'd actually be going around, and I would take a picture with a physical button, because the touch screen didn't work anymore. So I'd take a picture, it had the full taking a photo animation, and it would display that photo for a second, and then it would pretend like it fell asleep, but it would still display that last frame. And so I was actually really worried that my battery was going to run out before I got to the really fun rapids, but it worked out actually.
Has this problem resolved itself now, or is it
once
still
it dried out, it was no longer a problem.
Cool.
Or actually, so my battery actually died shortly at the very end of the rafting. My battery died, and then once I charged it, that was no longer a problem. So I don't. It's hard to say. Maybe it was an issue with like having it be a low battery, or maybe it was an issue with water was somehow keeping the display from going to sleep. I'm not really sure.
We'll have to have you talk with Noble. He's had some water issues of his own, but his haven't been as fortunate. I think he's on his third pair right now. So.
Oh
no. Cool. So anything you're interested in doing with glass, or any ideas you have for working with glass?
Let's see. What do I want to do with glass?
Don't worry if you don't have a definitive answer. I'm the same way. I have all these ideas that come and go, and I always mean to get started, but same sort of thing. There's so much.
Yeah, I know. There's a couple of people that have already done paintballing. I think I probably would still like find that fun anyways. I know that there's I think it's nearby in San Francisco. There's a group of people that do well-known war battles reenactments with airsoft guns, and they do it out like in the woods. And so I think so a lot of them are actually are veterans, and they're having fun with their buddies. So I think like that kind of experience could be interesting, where you're essentially you're crawling through the woods with an airsoft gun, doing mock battles with other people.
Yeah, I have a feeling if anybody ever has to open up your glass, they're going to see all this crusted mud and grass clippings and things like that that have weaseled their way in.
Yeah.
I don't know if I had mentioned before that you're from the San Francisco Bay Area, but you've been pretty active with the events we've done as well. So like the Twitch Studio tour we did a couple months back, we were all there for, and also the Segway tour. So the
Segway tour was a lot of fun.
That was really cool. Have you ever ridden a Segway before?
I've never done a Segway before. Maybe next time we'll do have you seen those little yellow tour cars that are in San Francisco?
Right, yeah, down by the waterfront, yeah.
Yes, maybe we'll have to do that next time.
Cool. Yeah, if anybody's watching this and hasn't done a Segway tour, definitely give it a try. It's really, really fun, and a lot easier in San Francisco than walking up those hills. So.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, awesome. So let me go ahead and there's an audience question. Somebody posted in our community. Jeff Bond is his name. He asks, can you talk about possibilities for auto-adding meta tags to pictures to help catalog organize them over time? That would be great. So I don't know if he wrote this question before or after the XE update, because I'm guessing the meta tags, he puts a hash in front of it. He's referring to hashtags. So that functionality is there, but I don't know about organizing. Do you guys have any special ways of organizing your pictures, or? No,
it's,
okay.
It's a
They all
tough
pretty
one.
much sit on Google Plus for me.
Usually, yeah. What I do is if I have special pictures, I kind of save them with a name so I know what they are. But in the future, you're hoping that some kind of artificial intelligence is going to make sense and be able to search on those. It's the only way.
I mean, Google is getting better about, like, you know, you can, in theory, you can search Google for my photos of Egyptian pyramids, and if you have any photos of Egyptian pyramids, in theory, Google's supposed to return them as results now.
Yeah, the demos they did at I/O were pretty interesting. Like you said, they were identifying, you know, specific objects and identifying which pictures were more interesting, which ones were maybe out of focus or blurry versus like the better composed photos and stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on in Google Plus. I haven't found it the easiest system for manually cataloging my photos. I really like a piece of software called Lightroom. If anybody is a photographer that has an SLR or like thousands and thousands of pictures you want to manage, Lightroom is really, really amazing for that. But right now there's no support for Google Plus, so I'm kind of torn about which way to put my photos. Because before it worked really well with Flickr. Like you could post directly to Flickr, you could get the comments on Flickr and put them back on your photos. Perfect for that. But I don't see that support for Google Plus yet. I'm hoping that gets in there.
I mean, in theory, they could just implement the Picasa APIs because all those photos show up in Google Plus.
Well, there's a guy who makes plugins for Lightroom called Jeffrey Friedland. He had put together Picasa importer. This is before Google Plus was really around, and I think it probably still works, but I get the impression that they're phasing out Picasa. So I don't know. Do you get that impression?
The brand itself, the Picasa brand, is definitely getting phased out. I mean, it's hard to say about the photo API because, like, I want to say it might have been almost a year ago. They actually pushed a blog post live that was like announcing a photo API. And then took it down within the hour, and so I don't really know whether they decided against publishing that or it was a mistake, or they decided to stick with the Picasa API. It's hard to say, but as far as I can tell, like the Picasa API itself is probably not going away anytime soon.
It's good to know, or at least hopefully it'll be replaced by something even better. So
hopefully.
Cool. So now's probably a good time to start talking about some upcoming events. Actually, before we do that, we can mention the event that just happened yesterday, because I think you were there, Abraham. You had some of the best pictures I'd seen of. Now, all three of us had been to the Glass Foundry Hackathon back in January, and they held it in a facility sort of on the waterfront by the Bay Bridge in San Francisco. A really lovely site, and it looks like now they're repurposing that, or at least repurposed it yesterday for some office hours. Can you tell us about your experience?
So the space the office hours in is it's the San Francisco Glass Pickup Place. So if you get glass, you get into the glass program, and you go to San Francisco to pick it up, it's that spot where we had the office hours. They had all these tables set out with the mirrors and the bags with the sunglasses in them. It was, in general, the event itself was very relaxed. It was mostly just people chatting. There was a number of people on the glass team mingling with, and just chatting about potential ideas or issues that people are having about, or just general usage usage in general. But it was a very chill event, yeah.
I saw from your pictures that they had some Google developers there. There was Jenny Murphy and Timothy Jordan.
Yep, a number of people from the DevRel team were there. There was even, we met some. There's one DevRel person that Monday was her first day, so Monday was the first day she'd wear Orin glass. She basically was like, here's your Google ID and here's your glass, and so she was still getting used to things. But in general, there was a number of people from Glass that you could talk to about a wide range of topics. I actually had to talk with a number of people trying to figure out app IDs for this weekend.
Yeah, awesome. And it sounds like this is going to be a recurring thing. Recently, Jenny Murphy had been doing office hours down here in Mountain View for the several people that would show up and ask questions. But I think that was just her trying to help out developers. This seems more official. So, and it also seemed like they were going to do it more frequently, which is pretty cool. And also in different locations. This happened to be in San Francisco, but a lot of comments were people in New York, San Diego, people that were like around the country that also wanted to have this. And I think they might be doing that. So.
No, from the comments, I got the impression they already did an office hours in New York.
It's possible. They do seem to have offices in New York that they do activities, but not being from around there, I'm not exactly sure what they've been doing. Cecilia, you're down near LA, which is one of the other larger Google campuses. Have you heard of any official Google activities down there?
Unfortunately, not. We'd probably come right after San Francisco and New York.
Okay. Cool. So now there's an upcoming event. This is really exciting, and as of today, it actually officially sold out. It's going to be the Breaking Glass Hackathon that we've discussed on the show for the last couple of weeks. This is a hackathon focused on Glass, really intended to bring out a lot of Glass developers and people that maybe didn't have Glass but that wanted experience developing for it. And it's being held in San Francisco starting tomorrow evening through Sunday. So it's a 48-hour hackathon, and it sounds very exciting. There's going to be about 60 people competing, plus media and other organizers, including all three of us. So that's pretty cool. I'll be glad to see you all in person again.
Yes, and we're all friends now, but of course the weekend is going to be brutal.
Definitely. And actually not only the three of us, but Libby's going to be there sort of helping to organize, and Noble will be a judge. Actually, the reason Noble's not joining us today is because he's en route flying out to San Francisco right now, so it'll be pretty cool.
I mean, I don't know why he didn't book a plane with Wi-Fi and just join from there.
Yeah.
I guess if you have a Chromebook, you could probably get that Wi-Fi account.
That's true. That's true.
That's pretty cool. Have you guys started chatting with anybody about what teams to form and such?
I had a couple people from the office hours yesterday trying to recruit me for their team, but I haven't really thought about it at all.
I was thinking about that when the office hours were going on. I couldn't make it up there. I had to work. It was during the sort of businessy hours, 4 to 7 o'clock. And I just couldn't make it up, but I was thinking, man, there's got to be a lot of really great talent up there I'd like to talk to.
Yep.
But I'm sort of saving my team decisions for tomorrow. I'm mainly interested in seeing what app ideas are out there. If anybody's interested in my app ideas, or if somebody proposes something that I'm really excited about, even more than my own. So yeah, it'll be fun. Have you guys done hackathons before besides the Foundry event?
I've done a Startup Weekend hackathon before, but I didn't really finish it. I kind of went to the beginning and kind of decided that I was too tired that weekend to actually do it. But I know the mechanics and the whole thing, and I came back to the end in the presentations.
How about you, Abraham?
I have been to probably more hackathons than I should.
Cool. So you know what's going on then.
I'm a little bit of a hackathon junkie, I guess.
Cool. Well, no wonder everybody wanted you on their team then. Yeah, I haven't really had any experience outside the Foundry, so it'll be interesting to see what like a more organically formed hackathon is like.
Yeah.
Awesome. So we had a couple things we were going to talk about with Feature of the Week, but sort of are going to hang on to them until next week. Are there any topics that you guys feel should be covered this week?
I'd love to ask Abraham a little more questions. Whatever you can tell us as a developer, as a Glass developer, about your previous projects. I understand if you can say about the weekend, but whatever you've done so far, whatever your experience is, and how you liked it, or what you're more excited about in the future, things like that. Talking about JDK or Mirror, all those things.
So at Foundry, I built a to-do app, and the idea behind it was to help you concentrate on the next thing that is on your list to get done. And so you would add the app to your Glass. It would send you a card saying this is the next thing on your to-do list. When you complete it, you say I'm done with this, and it would get removed from your Google Tasks list, and the next item would get sent to you. So it's like rather than getting overwhelmed with, this is 1,000 things I have to do, this is the next thing to do, just work on that, and don't worry about the rest. And so that was actually pretty cool. At the time, the Mirror API was pretty limited, and it's like we didn't have things like the Note voice command that just launched wasn't there. That was something that would have been really good for it. Pin to cards was not there. So there's a number of restrictions and bugs that made it difficult. But in general, it turned out really well. I haven't really done too much Glass development since then. I've pretty much been heads down on my startup. But I'm excited to see where Glass goes. I think there's a lot of potential, and I think it's definitely still alpha stage hardware, alpha stage OS. A lot of the actual social norms and even legal issues are still in infancy, and I'm excited to see where it goes. I don't know. We'll see.
So how about your startup? Is that Advocate?
Yes, yes. So I've been working on this for about a year and a half now, and it's essentially we're trying to make it very easy for employees of companies to talk about what their company is doing and interesting stuff in their company's industry through their personal social media channels, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, but do it in a company collaborative way so that your coworkers can see what you've been sharing, and they can then amplify that to get you extra credit, and all of this different engagement and activity it's analyzed so that like your managers or the marketing department can see, oh, these people in this department are the movers and shakers on social media. Mm-hmm. So maybe we should command them in the company for get them an iPad for doing awesome social media work this month or something.
Sounds super interesting. Cool.
Very cool.
It's fun work, but it's a lot of work.
So are you as active on the other social media sites as you are on Google+?
I probably not quite as much, but it's pretty close.
Yeah, pretty cool. And again, what was your startup's name?
It's called Advocate, and it's with 2 Ds. It's like we're trying to turn your employees into advocates.
Awesome. So I guess since we were talking about the hackathon just now, what do you guys think your preferred approach is going to be? Native, like a native Android, or Mirror?
I personally probably will go with Mirror just because it's what I know better, and so I can't experiment and kind of get into Android on a weekend. So I'll be more useful, I think, on Mirror.
I'm definitely going Mirror. I'm kind of torn. I see that there's certain things that a native, app will be able to do much better. But for the most part, I think that people should generally build on the Mirror API. It's gonna, from an aesthetics and from a workflow, it's gonna fit into the rest of the apps and the rest of the ecosystem much better. And probably the best part is that you don't have to worry about your app becoming a runaway process and just killing the battery in 20 minutes.
Yeah, I agree. And also, think about it like whenever the SDK for Android will include it will be the actual JDK with Glass functionality for cards and bundles. That would be cool because you're going to be able to tap into some extra functionality from Android, but you still will have the workflow, like you said, Abraham, from Mirror, so from the regular timeline. So I like that more.
I guess I'll argue for the other side just to be fair. So and it also doesn't hurt that I'm more familiar with Android development. I've been giving myself a crash course in the Java server coding and Python server-side programming, but definitely I'm more familiar with the Android side. And there are certain abilities that exist there that maybe someday will make it into the Mirror API, but I'm not quite sure in what form. I really like the idea of augmented reality apps, things that are maybe overlaying information on the world that you're seeing, or things that give you more direct access to sensor information. Like if you're a sports enthusiast and you want some real live information right now, there's not a good way to get that information using the Mirror API. You might get a delayed, that information on a card that was a couple minutes old, but you're not going to get it like instantly. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I think I might focus on that or see what other people are working on. Cool. But yeah, until recently, I was definitely on the Mirror API side as well. But when Google released their own sort of they opened the door to the GDK. Although the GDK isn't officially out there, they had created some sample codes that were like a compass and a level, things like that. And once I saw that they were supporting it, at least to that level, I feel more comfortable going ahead and developing in that direction.
It might end up being kind of interesting if they support some way of doing like a lightweight native app that maybe it runs on Glass, and it's doing, it's kind of like listening for certain things, watching for certain particular circumstances, and then when it happens, it somehow triggers an event that then the Mirror API takes over, or your app on the Mirror API takes over and does all the UI stuff through that. That could be kind of interesting.
Yeah, I think that would definitely be the best solution for a lot of these things. Like maybe you could have a standard Mirror API look or Mirror style card, just with like fields that are updating or fields that are being populated by sensor information or some small amount of code, like you said.
Yeah, but the real advantage of doing a local application is that you wouldn't need to have to go all the way to the server and come back, and you can work offline. So I guess some people are going to have to use that side of it where there's no Mirror API and there's just a local app that is using cards and bundles and all the typical Glass things.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've heard word that they're, although they haven't figured out exactly how they're going to do this, there is going to be some sort of launcher for Glass. It may not look like the Android launcher or anything like that, but there will be a way of launching more native apps.
Well, it sounds like part of the launcher might be these voice commands. Mm-hmm. So that's what I was wondering too, because Jenny Murphy mentioned the launcher a few weeks ago in the office hours, but it sounds like the launcher could be the voice commands big time. And also, it hinted that it could be a type of card that could be a launcher, which you set the commands to work like the OK Glass. So you would say, OK, Genie, send a note, or OK, Genie, I parked here, for instance, in the case of my app. And that makes sense, too, that they open other kind of cards similar to the OK Glass, but you control which are the commands.
It'll be kind of interesting to see, because there's certain arguments to say, well, it should always be, you base it on a command, and then from that you can launch whatever app's listening for that command, or whether you should do, well, let's launch an app and then see what kind of commands that app supports. And there's certainly arguments to go both ways, and yeah.
One thing that is interesting on this voice command thing they launched is that you can say you can set an unspeakable name for your app, because imagine you have this app that is like, I don't know, some crazy name, and you can pronounce it, so you can say the phonetics or the alternative name that can use for launcher for the voice commands. I thought that was interesting.
Speaking of that, for the experimenting you've been doing with that Make a Post, how does it know whether to go to your app versus, say, Path or Evernote?
Because the moment you say, OK, Glass, take a note, and it will come with Evernote for now, because it says take a note with, and then in the second line is Evernote, and if it was Genie was there, it would say Evernote Genie. So you would say, OK, Glass, take a note with Genie, and it will switch. And I assume they're going to do what they're doing very well, is remembering your last option. So they more than likely, if your last option was to post to Facebook, they're not going to try to post to Twitter next time. They will kind of have it first line Facebook again.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thanks guys for an awesome show, and I really like that discussion at the end about the development. So, thanks Abraham for joining us.
Happy to, anytime.
And Cecilia, wonderful as always.
And it will be fun this weekend to be
This
everyone
weekend
together.
is going to be awesome. I hope we're not too bloody by the end of that.
Who needs sleep?
I do. Anyway, awesome. Okay.
All right, guys.
So, until next time.
See you next week.
Bye-bye.